Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be crafting some items for my Bladefall Blade Blast Assassin, and I'm going to be talking about some of the methods that I'm using. Now, I don't exactly know how many of these items will be cheap to make and how many will be expensive to make, as I haven't really gone into a lot of the math on is it easy to make this item or not. So that's going to be something that I'll cover on an item-to-item basis and go over individually. Most of the time when you are going into a crafting project, I do advise that you make sure that you know how much it costs, just so that you know you have the budget for it. Personally, my budget right now is around 128 exalts, so I feel fairly comfortable jumping into these, because I know that at their most expensive, they're probably not going to cost anywhere near that. And if I find out part of the way through that I need more money, then I'll address that when I get there. But again, for most people, most of the time, you should find out your budget before you start crafting, so that you can get the item to at least a wearable state before you run into problems. A good example of this is this ring. It is in a wearable state. It is not finished by any means. I need to replace this with life gain for enemies hit by your spells to go with a tier 1 life, but I can use it and it's fine for now. And with that, time to start crafting. And how's it going, Michael? So the first thing I'm going to be crafting, hopefully, assuming there are enough essences for sale, is a new Stygian Vise. The reason I'm going to craft a new Stygian Vise, this one is quite nice, but the suffixes are only okay, and prefixes are only okay. I don't really need the chaos damage anymore. I would much rather something like increased maximum life. So, I'm going to be looking for Hunter Stygian Vises to craft on, and I'm going to be using Deafening Essence of Envy, so that I can guarantee chaos res. And I apologize, my voice is apparently dying. I also will apparently need to buy or trade exalts for more chaos. But saying buying chaos sounds weird, but it is buying chaos with exalts. And how's it going, BVB? Welcome to the crafting stream, where I'm probably not going to do a single map today. I'm just going to craft. I'm going to start with, 20 essences or so. Go from there. I'm good. Why are you frustrated? Been having more map crash problems? Or something else? I know, personally, I haven't had very many map crashes, but I've been having a lot of hideout crashes. Huh. I can't explain the crash to desktop stuff because it's tied to some weird things. For example, I tend to find that if I click a Gloom Shrine, my client will just die when I cast Blade Blast on a Legion. Unfortunately, in terms of dying, I can't really say why. That gets back to the hardest thing in Path of Exile, which is, why are you dying? Well, there's certain things that are giant red flags, like, oh, your cold res is uncapped. That's why you're dying. Or you have 2,000 life. That's why you're dying. Beyond that, it really does often get into little subtle things about how you're playing. The sort of things that I played for long enough that I don't really actively think about, but I can easily identify when I see them happening. But since you don't stream, it's a lot harder for me to pin down why. Actually, I guess I do have one idea. Do you have life gain on hit? Do you have life gain on hit or life gain on hit for each enemy? No. The text is right in front of me and I can't read it. This is a good start to the day. Life gain for each enemy hit by your spells on a ring, and also from a Vitality Watcher's Eye. Okay, if you have that, I'm out of ideas. Oh, okay, maybe I do have an idea then. So, if you only have it on one ring, it could simply be that you are taking too many hits as the enemies run up to you while you're blade blasting, and that you just don't have enough recovery yet to tank that, and that you need to play safer. So instead of, let's just say there's a pack of dangerous enemies here. Instead of doing what I do, which is this, and just letting them hit me, you kind of want to do this and fire off the edge of your screen.
Just need a moment to
that could be it.
Breath.
It could also be something else. Again, this is a very complicated issue, and I don't want to be like, I solved the problem, and it doesn't actually solve it. But it's something to think about, and it's something to try. Because I know in a lot of my gameplay, I just kind of walk up to stuff and let them hit me, which isn't a good habit, but also I can do it. So I do. And this is why I don't craft too many of these belts, because people take a long time to answer. I didn't miss anything, right? Nope, did not miss anything. So, the park boss, if you are dying to that boss, you are absolutely getting hit by something you shouldn't be. All of the damage of that boss is either avoidable or pretty trivial, like her general melees. You're either getting hit by the... Is it Molten Strike? I don't actually know what it is that causes the explodey bombs she makes. But I'd say it's either the explodey bombs or the god rays from the sky. Those can both be quite dangerous. If you avoid them, should be pretty doable. Alright, so I've gotten probably all I'll get from this. I need... It's eye level 85, right? I think it's eye level 85 for tier 1 life. I'm definitely not quickly checking PoEDB on my other monitor just to check. Oh, no, it is eye level 84. Got it. Eye level 84 Hunter. Did you advise? Okay, well, this is definitely sold, but... Alright, and no worries. Take all the time you need. Those are definitely sold because it's not worth that. It's worth way more than that. Alright, so I'm going to buy that, and that'll be my crafting base. Or at least my first crafting base. Because this is the thing about crafting. There are certain methods of crafting that are just not going to be profitable. A good example of this is when I made this. I made 0 currency off of it. And the reason... Oh, that's so close. The reason I made 0 currency off of it is because I made it for myself. I spent a lot of currency harvest crafting this because I wanted it to be really good, and I'm fine with that. I am a Bladefall Blade Blast Assassin. I am pretty min-maxed at this point.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
I drop swords on your head, they explode, and then the entire screen explodes. Explodey chest. I'm currently working on upgrading my belt, because I made this belt pretty early in the league, and it's not a bad belt. There's nothing specifically wrong with it, but I also know that it's not perfect because it has the maximum mana on it, which is irritating. I mean, even if she's not a cuddly kid, everyone wants to be held after they have a bad dream. So right now I'm buying a new Hunter Stygian, and I'm going to go from there and maybe buy a couple more essences. Waiting for, who was it? This person to get back to me on if they have change for 2 exalts. Which at this point I probably could have just sold the exalts for chaos. But hopefully they have change. I'm guessing you haven't played that much then? Or have you been playing on hardcore? I could see 2 possibilities there. The leak started, what, 3 weeks ago now? I think it's 3 weeks ago. We're at February 2nd. Yes, Working Class Exile by Balor Mage is a great series. So here's the thing, Derek. If you're in Act 4, it's not about getting ritual or another mechanic to give you something useful. It's about making do with the junk that you have and getting further into the game till you get to a point where it's efficient from a time standpoint to be able to farm up those useful or semi-useful things, which usually starts around Blood Aqueducts. Sometimes you could do it a little earlier, but in general, you want to get to Blood Aqueducts. I mean, I wouldn't entirely say that, Fox. A good example of this is you can get a +1 gems weapon very similarly to, do I have one here? Yes. This, but with lesser modifiers. Early on. It could be +1 physical spell, fire spell, whatever spell you want, and then another useful line of text. It won't be tier 1 chaos dot multi. It'd be like tier 4. But if you're Essence Drain Contagion, and you have tier 4 chaos dot multi, and physical spell, and you can craft, let's just say, spell damage, that's a great starter weapon. That'll carry you all the way to maps and be ridiculous. Crusader mods. Worth it for the build. You currently have Explode and Power Charge. Yes, life gain on spell hit. You should have it on both rings. And effect of Fortify on you on your helmet. I can't think of any boot mods. I can't think of any weapon mods. I can't think of any glove mods, and I can't think of any belt mods off the top of my head. Yeah, exactly. It's little stuff like that that is really nice when you find it, but you don't need it. You can go all the way to maps without any of that stuff. I had absolutely nothing special drop on this character, and it was no problem getting to maps. And that's pretty typical of my experience. All right, so this guy that said, let me finish a map, either takes a really long time to do the map. Let's see, would I have that? No. Okay, so here's a good crafting tip that my friend Rhaegar brought up in chat here, or in-game. He's asking, do you have Critical Strike is lucky while focused for belts? Which is a craft, and here's the thing about that. It has the critical tag. So instead of doing augment critical to get flasks gain a charge when you deal a critical strike, you can do remove add critical, which is much cheaper. This will help you save quite a bit of currency in your belt harvest crafting to make an excellent item. I mean, if you got a Tabula and a Thief's Torment, then I don't think you get to complain about not having items. Because just with that, you got better items on your league start than I've probably had for any league start in the past year. And I'm going to assume the just let me finish my map guy is not in fact selling me that belt. Mostly because I'm tired of waiting. I usually give people about 5 minutes. Yeah, if you ever can't join the instance, you just leave and reinvite. Or not? Okay. Well, I guess... a very common bug. Oh, never mind. They reinvited me. Cool. Well, I've learned that waiting for people is generally not worth it. I try to wait for people, but usually after I wait for one person, all of my patience for waiting for people gets used up. 40... Okay. Have a belt. Step 1 for crafting this Stygian Vice is to scour it. The reason I am scouring it here is it's going to cost more for me to catalyze it after the fact than for me to catalyze it 4 times now and then use the essences on it. See, so physical damage and damage over time multiplier. So here's the thing. That is very much of a wrong base for damage over time. And it's less likely that a damage over time build will want the fizz damage. Fizz damage plus damage over time is something like this, where you're bleed bow, and you want 60% chance for bleeding inflicted with this weapon to deal 100% more damage. And you want some good fizz rolls, and you're good. And you typically want a Citadel base, because it is slower and therefore has a higher damage range, such as 121 to 349 here. Something like this, it's faster, so Toxic Rain might use that. But you wouldn't want to craft into the fizz stuff for Toxic Rain. You'd want to force gem mods. Maybe Explosive Arrow Ignite would do that. But again, Explosive Arrow Ignite doesn't want the fizz damage, you'd want plus gem levels, to force higher levels of the base damage on Explosive Arrow's explosion. Or maybe something like Flat Lightning, so that you can do some EE stuff, where every time you hit an enemy, it's exposed to lightning damage, so that it becomes more vulnerable to fire, but when the explosion goes off, it deals fire damage and inflicts a big ignite. So, are there things that you can do for this? Yes. And you hit on the right point there of the fizz and the dot isn't really good together. Is it something that is worth doing? I'm tempted to say no, because the best thing that you could do to maximize this is reforge keeping suffixes after you regal it and after you hit another good suffix like attack speed. If you don't hit a good suffix like attack speed, it's kind of tough because it's going to be really expensive to finish the item. And without an influence modifier and with only a T2 damage over time, it's not really going to be worth it. Yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't, because it's going to cost you easily 5 or 6 exalts to go from there with that bow. And it's not going to be as good as if you had started with the right base. And by right base, for Caustic Arrow, you probably want what? Warlord? Hunter? I don't know off the top of my head. But some sort of influence base is the way to go. Because otherwise it's just a big old gamble. Now, if you had T1 damage over time multiplier, then it might be worth it. But you'd need T1 there. The first roll is garbage. Unremovable prefix, not worth my time. Second roll is also garbage. And this is where things get complicated. Because now I've got something actually pretty good. Yeah, most Toxic Rain and Caustic Arrow builds will use a Synthesis Bow at the top end, because you can get additional plus gem levels from the Synthesis implicit. So now there's a few things that I could do here. The first thing that I could do is I could YOLO annul it. There's 3 mods that I don't want to annul: the move speed during flask effect, the chaos resist, and the life. And there's 2 things that I could YOLO annul that would be good, but this will wipe the quality. The second thing I could do is I could do remove non-whatever, add whatever. So if I did remove non-influence, add influence, it can't hit the move speed. It can hit the life, which I want to keep. It can hit the chaos res, which I want to keep. It can hit the defense, which I want to get rid of. And it can hit the stun block, which I want to get rid of. So it's straight 50-50 on remove non-influence, add influence. Or I can say, you know what? This is pretty good as is. I could even craft 20% increased damage here. Maybe I don't do anything further. I say, all right, someone out there who's playing a different build than me, maybe they're playing Toxic Rain or Caustic Arrow, maybe they're just playing a Pathfinder. Someone out there may consider this item to be valuable to their build. And so I'd price check it based on the chaos res, the movement speed during flask effect, and the life on a Stygian Vise. And I'm going to do 90 life, not going to worry about the catalyst. I'm going to do, let's just say 20% chaos res. Movement speed during flask effect, any. There is no results found. What about counting offline? Still no results found. So it is a fairly rare combo, probably because not many people use these essences. What if I take off movement speed during flask effect and just do the chaos res? of, 90 life and let's just say 30 cast res. Well, that's 25 to 70 C, maybe an Exile. That's not as much as the base. Now I have to assume that a lot of people aren't going to be searching for this and decide what to do. I'm trying to think. I'm going to go look at hunter suffixes, because if I can target something specific, like remove non-speed, add speed, that has to add, let's just say, a suffix, maybe it's actually worth it. But I don't think there's any other speed suffixes. Oh, there is. There's cast speed during a flask effect. So for Warlord, there's Culling Strike, and skills fire an additional projectile. For Hunter, it looks like I confused Hunter with something else. It is actually Redeemer, which is blind on hit with attacks, onslaught on kill, and movement speed. And auras from your skills grant damage to you and your allies. While not good, isn't terrible either. Even Shaper arguably has some uses, but Shaper would be a lot harder to roll for things like maximum frenzy charges or pierce. And it can also hit move speed and onslaught on kill. So, this is a tricky, tricky belt. And what I may do is just buy another base and craft for now. And think about that problem later. Redeemer Explodey? What base type would that be, Fox? Oh no. The remove ad critical begins. I'm trying to remember what mod that is. There's definitely no wand base that has Explodey on the Redeemer influence. Are you perhaps thinking of a... I know Shaper Maces can do it. And it's specifically non-scepter maces. I thought that was Shaper only, though. Let's check. Okay, here we go. It is a Redeemer influence modifier as well on a non-caster mace. But it's the exact same mod as the Shaper Explode, which is fire damage. And my thoughts on it are that it's not really worth it. If you have absolutely nothing else, sure. but you're not going to scale the damage in any meaningful way. Now that I have change from the other one, I can buy this. I love Lady 4, perfect. And this is called putting your problems off for future you. Yeah, but you can scale the damage of an explodey chest. So there's no point in making your weapon far more expensive while also giving you unscalable damage when you could instead do scalable damage. It will cost you more to make a mace with relevant lines of text on it by a factor of like 2. Making a decent explodey chest, like usable decent, not actually good, but a usable decent explodey chest is only like 3-4x. A mace like that's probably going to cost you 8 to 12 minimum, because you have to roll it with essences. Otherwise, you're going to get no useful mods, and I'm not even sure if there are essences without multi-modding. I think you'd have to do something like essence of what? Zeal? No, Zeal's attack speed. What can put useful mods on a weapon? Is there even a way to roll it for a poison build? Weapon, Fire Burst, Weapon, Decay, Weapon, Frenzy or Endurance Charge. Weapon range. Cast speed, here we go. You'd have to roll it with Deafening Essence of Misery for cast speed until you get the Shaper Explodey. Then you multi-mod it. And then you put on 2 prefixes like chaos.multi and damage over time.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
No, slightly different ordering, sorry. You'd want to do cannot roll attack mods and put on Fizz as extra chaos first. Then you'd want to do that. Oh, welcome back to the present, Snow. So I believe maces can use or generate Fizz as extra chaos as a modifier. Oh, they cannot. Never mind. Oh, that's rough. Never mind. I would say you can't really make a useful weapon with a mace base. That you would essentially be using no weapon at all. And so at that point, you might as well use an obliteration. Because an obliteration is maybe 2-3 chaos. It has an explodey effect. And it works pretty decently. It'll take care of most of the on-death effects. So it's way cheaper to just use an obliteration. Oh boy, BVB. I mean, I think the ideal would be to do the prefixes first so you don't waste a suffix on the multi-mod. But that's also the expensive way to do it. For a cheap bow, yeah. The last one, assuming that the base is pretty fast, you probably don't need attack speed. And attack speed's expensive to put on, so I would go with an influence mod instead. So for Bladefall Blade Blast, I'm not really a fan of the synth explode weapons, because they don't really do anything for the build. Although, because Bladefall Blade Blast uses modifiers that most people don't care about, like chaos.multi and, Fizz is extra chaos, it could very well be that you could pick one up for cheap rather than fracturing a copy yourself that someone's selling because it's not good for their build. But I don't really think it's worth it because, again, it only costs you 3 or 4x for a decent single influence explodey chest, and it's going to cost you, 2.5x for the explodey weapon? You might as well just pay the slight extra to get the chest piece and use whatever weapon you want, like Obliteration or Cold Iron Point. Again, unless you manage to get lucky and you manage to snipe one that people just aren't valuing because it's not good for their build. In which case, the exploding weapon becomes much more profitable. Or efficient? Efficient's better than profitable, but you could also potentially resell it later, so either one, really. Oh boy, Snow. I mean, where you put it in the step zone depends on which influence mod you're targeting. Oh no, why? This is exactly what I wanted, but not the way I wanted it. Ugh. Why? For example, okay, so additional proj. Which actually, additional proj isn't unique to influence, interestingly enough. It's the only one that isn't. And that is an attack suffix. So what you would do is you would make most of the bow first, and you'd fill the prefixes first. And then as the final thing, because I believe that none of the other things, if you're doing socketed supports, so chaos dot socketed supports plus 1 gems, none of those are attack tagged. Dot multi suffix is also not attack tagged. So you could do add remove attack as a suffix, and you'd have a very high chance, especially on a... Oh no, never mind, not on a Warlord base in that case. You would probably want an Elder base in that case. Elder base could straight up be better, because you could also get Culling Strike or Area of Effect with add remove influence, although that's way more expensive. Yeah, if you just want +1 projectiles, you can just do bow attacks, fire an additional arrow, which is a fairly high-weighted attack suffix, and just add remove attack as the last slot. Do I try to fix this? I don't think I try to fix this.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
And yeah, that does sound a little bit like a miscommunication, but also a awkward conversation. I think there's a couple other options there, but yes. Let me double check quickly. It'll be attack speed, life gain on hit by attacks, additional arrow, global accuracy, damage done with bleeding, and maybe flat accuracy too? I think flat accuracy too. No, maybe not flat accuracy, actually. Oh, wait, yes, flat accuracy. Oh, and crit strike chance. Specifically, the weighting combined for add remove attack is 26,100. And attack speed's a 4,000 weighting. Additional arrows is 1,100. So 5,100, which means you have a 1 in 5-ish. Yeah, and you'll have a 1 in 5 of getting something useful, which means it'll cost about 6 or 7x to finish the item. Which isn't too bad, all things considered. And if you're pickier, then that cost goes up significantly. So I suggest not being picky with a craft like that. So at this point, my initial outset goal was to see if I could make myself another belt. So far, I have rolled 2 belts. And neither of them have been quite what I wanted. Now, I have a few more Essence of Envy here. And take them out. I have to hit the upgrade thing. I should upgrade some more stuff. I don't need Screaming Essences anymore. I can just upgrade all that. A few more Essences. I could buy another base. Total loss. If you wanted to make a mirror tier bow, you're going to have to spend way more. Because a mirror tier bow, you're going to need the +2 additional arrows, which is a 100 weighting out of that 26,000-ish. So the problem with trying to mirror something is it costs, what, 200-ish X for a mirror right now? So is someone going to spend 200 exalts on average to make your weapon? If the answer is yes, you have a chance of opening a mirror service for it. If the answer is no, you have no chance of opening a mirror service for it because harvest crafting is way too strong. And that's kind of a problem with harvest crafting. Because this chest piece, when finished, would be mirror worthy in any other league. In this league, there's no way I get any mirror service for it. It's like a 50x chest piece. Why? Because within 50x, you can make this exact thing. Less than 50x, actually. Probably more like 30x. You can make this. You can make 1,000 of them. It's 100% guaranteed. You will make this item. Oh no. It seems that Rhaegar has the same pain that I have here. I should probably sell this. I'm thinking I actually might re-roll over this, just because I don't want to keep buying bases. Or I do a gamble, and I try to do a remove non-add. And if it bricks it, it bricks it. Nah, I think I just roll over. It's going to be too hard to sell that, even though it does have some value. I'll sell this one instead. They're coming, but keep in mind that when I make a harvest crafting for profit video, you're going to have to figure out your own items to do, because the profit on whatever item I showcase is going to go to near zero instantly. Because too many people are going to have that exact same thought. Okay, so this should sell. Wait, but I thought you just said you only have 4x. Have you not watched my last harvest video? Because if you've watched that one, you should know exactly what to do with your garden and why you should absolutely be going into it if you only have 4x to your name. Because by walking away from your garden entirely, you're basically leaving 1 to 3 exalts on the ground, just sitting there and walking away. Which you should absolutely not be doing. It doesn't matter which mods shine, though. What matters is, what is the price of the mod you have in front of you? So these are all lower tier chaos damage. I don't think it's going to be worth 10 exalts, is it? The 11 exalt one's kind of better. Is it better? Not really. Maybe it is worth 10 exalts. I'm just going to put this up for that and see how it goes. So think about it this way, Zone. I mentioned specific types of crafts that people generally want to buy. Remove, add, remove, non-add. Even if you just go off of those, most of them sell for between half an exalt and 2 to 3 exalts. Just going off of those, you are leaving money on the ground every time you walk away from a harvest. And you're probably leaving an average of 1 exalt minimum on the ground. Could easily be leaving up to 3 exalts. And worst case, if you don't know what to price check, it's going to take a little time, but just go down the list. Look for what people are selling in TFT and how much they are selling it for. Yes, it's going to take a while. It might take you 10 or 20 minutes to price check your first harvest. It might take you a little longer even, because you need to figure out, are people actually going to buy it, or are people just selling it for prices that no one pays? But once you've done that, you now know for the next time, and the next time, and the next time, and the next time. And I need to buy more essences with my dwindling pile of chaos. Yes. I would recommend either Haywark Hamlet or Lex Proxima. And the maps are better in Haywark, in my opinion. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've run a single gen mission all League. Not saying it's optimal to run a single gen mission, but... Those are expensive. I paid... I'd like to say it was 4x for mine. I think it was about 4x that I paid. That's almost good. If it had higher tier stuff, I'd have fixed it up with Harvest. So you are what, about 2x in? Or have the prices on Elrion's jewelry dropped? It doesn't matter if you've bought it. You could have sold it. Elrion's Veiled is worth... Oh. They are down to about 20 to 25 C each. So a little lower now. And if you have roughly 3 unveils, 4, 5... Let's just say 5 to 6 unveils to get the craft. And then there's a couple in there that won't hit the craft at all, so let's say 8 total. You've spent, or close to, 1.5 exalts so far. You're probably going to spend around 2 to 2.5 exalts to fully unlock it. How's it going, Yarmore? I mean, you could also pay someone to craft it for you. But it is something to keep in mind when you are poor. If you're not going to be replacing your rings for a long time, I mean, that's why you get the craft from someone who's trusted in TFT. I have given people who are trusted or awakened literally 30, 40, and 50 exalt items, and I've gotten my item back every single time. You could also buy it from a streamer. There's plenty of options there. And yes, my bad. Hello, cat in the box. That is true. Cat in box equals content. I mean, that's kind of one of the oldest scams in the book. So what I usually do when I'm buying a 6-link item, especially Queen of the Forest, where it's notoriously difficult, is, number one, I don't ever buy the cheapest one, because the cheapest one is probably a scammer. I pay a little bit extra. And number two, I check it carefully in the trade window. And the same goes for Enlighten, Empower, Enhance, that people like to put level whatever's in instead of level 4. I just check it in the trade window. If they close the trade, then they're probably scamming me, and either I buy from someone else or I'm very, very, very careful to check. Most of the time, if they close the trade window, I'm just leaving and buying another one. There's plenty of others on the market. I want to use a tier 2 essence. Will a tier 2 essence get me enough chaos res? It's more than I will have, so I guess I'll use it because I have it, but I'm not going to buy the tier 2s. Although the essence crafting part may come to a close here. I'm running out of people who are actually selling these. As usual, is the problem when buying essence stuff to craft with. Or I get a bunch of them. And yes, I'm paying 7C each, but that is fine. Oof, Yaramor.
Just need a moment.
The last time someone
catch my
tried to
breath.
scam me with a level 4 Empower scam was honestly kind of hilarious how low effort they were doing it. Because I was trying to buy a level 4 Empower from them, and they put in a level 2 Enlighten. And trust me, there's no way to let someone know easier that you are a scammer when you switch the gem out for one that's a different item entirely. Oh, you just volled it. That doesn't count, Yarmor. I was also going to be surprised that you were playing in Trade League. That's called gambling. Gambling is not a scam because you go into gambling expecting to lose. That is the expected outcome there. Oh, nice. Sounds like you didn't get scammed at all then, even by the bad luck in the gambling. You got lucky, one might say. I knew someone having 30 of these for sale was too good to be true and they weren't going to answer. So here's the thing about that zone. Do you want to craft the item to something decent and just sell it as something decent? And if so, how much does it sell for and how much does it cost? Because if it's profitable to sell it as is, as something decent, and it will cost you less than the risk, just do that. The problem with doing that when you are extremely limited on currency is you could spend 4x to finish the item, and it sells for, let's just say, eventually it sells for 6x, but it takes a week to sell. And then you're out 4x for that week. Now, with Harvest and with selling Harvest crafts, it shouldn't matter to you. But if you're not going to be doing that, then, yeah, you could end up in a rough spot for a bit. I'm going to just message them again in case they didn't see the first. Then I'm going to message the other guy again. I haven't seen the new MTX. I don't tend to pay attention to it too much. You know, I don't think I've ever opened the YouTube emojis. Let's see. I like this. The emoji menu is a bunch of weird stuff, but at the top, it's just the two that I uploaded for my channel. Like so. And so that's what I see, and aside of that, there's just a bunch. For me, it doesn't scroll more than the view, it scrolls exactly the view. Alright, well, I am apparently not getting a large number of essences. Throw in one person. That's a chaos number. Aha, I'm getting 10 essences. It should be noted, I probably should have sold the other belt as well. But I am greedy, and I can afford to absorb some losses. I will come out of it either ahead or with a nice belt. Okay, then. We're stopping. Oh, well, that just happened. Yes, that was an Essence Slam. Deafening Essence of Envy for Tier 1 Chaos Res. Now, it isn't actually Tier 1 life. I know it looks like Tier 1 life. It is not. That is inflated by the life and mana modifiers. No, I hit T2, T2, T1, T1, T1. The suffixes are all T1, though. Oh. Is it what I want, though? Probably. It is probably what I want because I can drop... I can switch the lightning res here to cold res because I will absolutely need the cold res. Now I kind of want to buy another base because I have these 8 essences. All right. It's time to buy another base. What is that monstrosity? RNG. Also, it looks like the trade site isn't properly updating. That's fun. Yay for trade site not properly updating. That is an odd emote. I have no idea what it is. So that is YouTube's Kappa. Interesting. Well, that is a concerning name. In light of how good that roll is, maybe I just lower the price of this and sell it fast. Assuming that it actually shows up on people's trade searches. It didn't look like it was. Let me, now that I've updated the price, I will give it a second and then refresh. I think it should sell for around probably 6 or 7. But usually better to start it at 8 so people can offer. I'm getting another base to fuel my crafting addiction. Okay. Party invite for which one was this? This was the Gloom Charm. All right, this thing. This thing was annoying. This thing was annoying because some items, they want to roll well. Some items do not want to roll well. This item very much did not want to roll well. It was so irritating to get it to roll. But I'm glad someone is actually buying it. This item is getting a good home. Despite its troubled past. So I can put that stack away. And now, it's time to roll some more belts. Well, I'm sure you will find a good home someday as well, Yarmor, if you haven't already. That is, nope. Hey! Thank you very much, Shoddy, and welcome. Welcome to the channel. Right now, I'm just doing some crafting. I'm trying to make myself a better belt, and I've definitely made myself a better belt. I just need to finish it. And I had some essences left. So I'm blowing up these essences, rolling yet another belt. Because why not? And of course, when I run out of essences, I'm probably going to buy more. Because the secret is that as much as I like this belt, I kind of want T1 life. I know I probably shouldn't want T1 life, but I know this will cost enough for someone to buy. Nice. Well, I'm glad YouTube properly recommended me and that the notification didn't get lost. But yes, I do stream on YouTube every Tuesday. At least at this time, it's just every Tuesday. I may in the future expand that. We'll just see how it goes. Hey, how's it going? But yeah, I do in fact stream on YouTube and get very greedy with belts. And now I need to buy some chaos for my exalts because I am basically out of chaos. And being out of chaos is a bad thing. Welcome back properly, Krendor. I was slightly confused at the first account name, but a lot of people that I know, I do not know their names on YouTube yet because I'm still kind of new to this. Yeah, that's totally fair, Yarmor, and that sucks. That definitely would take the wind out of my sails for the game, too. Yeah, today's crafting stream has basically been making Stygian vises and buying lots of essences. So I've spent, I'm going to say, roughly 3 exalts so far on essences. 4.5 exalts on bases. This should sell for 6 to 7, but let's just pretend it sells for 4. And that would be... that covers most of the bases, and I'm down a half X on that, and I'm down 3X on the essences. This one will sell for enough to cover literally everything I spent and then some, because finishing this, I don't know exactly, but it could easily be 10 to 20X. And then there's this one, which is going to sell for something, or I'm going to use it. So far, it's been pretty good. Nice, Krendor. I do remember that amulet. 5 delirious maps. Bricked 4 maps. Yeah. Multiplayer HP delirious maps are really, really nasty. Also, apparently exalts rose by 10 chaos, and I've been still treating them as 80. So a couple people got 10 chaos for free on their deals today. And I also slightly shortchanged people by like 5C on the half exalt trades. I don't think anyone minded too much, though, and I know that with the volatility of exalt prices, as long as someone's making an effort to be close, I don't really care much either. But good to know. Exalts are to be treated at around 90 chaos now. Yeah, and this is exactly why I never blame anyone if they're a couple chaos off on an exalt trade. Because, yeah, they're 90. Yesterday, they'd gone up to 80 and hovered around 80, 82-ish. And yeah, now they're 90 today. What's your wand armor? I mean, think about it this way, Zone. It's still adding value. Anytime something adds value to your item, even if it's going to take you a while to finish it, that's a good thing. The bad thing is when it doesn't add value to your item. Right, what about this? That over there, put 5x here instead of. The one thing I do not like doing is exchanging exalts for chaos. So are you Archmage? Or I guess, what's the goal of a wand? I'd guess Archmage from a mana roll, because that's a juicy mana roll. Eventually, someone who's selling Chaos Orbs for Exalted Orbs will answer. I don't know when that eventually will be, though. And it looks like a more accurate price would be 88 instead of 90. But still, close enough. Yeah, it's the only thing that really annoys me. Well, I guess buying essences too when I can't buy in bulk, which is why very quickly I will just move to buying in bulk even if I pay extra for it. Because my crafting margins will always cover the extra I pay, and I should learn my lesson. You cannot roll attack. Fizz to fizz for +1. Yep, makes sense. Refill with random craft, slam, lightning craft, spell damage, trigger, non-speed to speed, and hope it nukes multi-mod. Yeah, that all sounds right. What happened, Grendor? Yeah, it's easy to fix stuff like that afterwards, luckily. Okay, well, at least someone answered me, which means I'm getting to the part where... I'm sorry to hear that. I know that group play is something that I probably should explore at some point, but because of exactly what you ran into with that, where sometimes goals of different people in the group vary and it causes friction, that's kind of why I've really avoided group play. Because I'm able to do everything that I want to do on my own. There we go. And this was 440 for 5. Or not. Okay. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I mean, money-wise, you'll be fine. You can always just run infinite Hayward Hamlet maps, and I would bet you could make a mirror a week just running Atoll map in Hayward Hamlet over and over again. This was 346 for 4, 1, 2, 50, 3, 46. But if you play with people, then it's definitely rough. I'd have to check again now that Exalts have shifted, but they were at around 200x. I definitely know people, though, who are focusing on Haywark Hamlet that have made literally a mirror plus a week just selling crafts in TFT. So they are at about 200 to 220. And yeah, I think that if you really, really hard dedicate to it, that you could make a lot more. You could probably make a mirror every 3 or so days. Most of the people who have made the mirror are, I don't want to say average player, but I don't want to say super min-max either. There are people who are in the middle, which is about where Krendor is. That's the one I'm keeping. This is the one I'm re-rolling. Yeah, if it fled in research is always good money. Now, back to... I wonder... Deafening Essence of Envy for Exalted Orbs. You don't really kill stuff, Krendor, so Headhunter doesn't actually help you. There are 8 to an Exalt, which is 11.5 C each. But if I buy them in bulk for Chaos, they're like 8 C each. So I think I'm just going to do that. Hey, what's up, Snow? Ah, welcome home then. I think I bought from Jason actually. 12 for 9C each, sure. 108. And it's going to get to a point, because these are essences, that it's not worth it anymore. So that's 10, and that's 88, 98, 108, let's say. Reading X is 88C-ish. More interesting than someone stealing your knife and realizing that stealing is bad and borrowing it without specific intent to return it in the near future instead. I'm curious now. Yeah, that's kind of the SSF quandary, isn't it, Yarmor? But at least you're on a ascendancy that's very flexible. That is the good thing about Scion. You can do stuff like, oh, well, being a Necro doesn't really help me anymore. I can go this other thing. Or, I need to be a Necro right now because I need block. Right, I've apparently used up all my luck with this. Is there anything else that I'd want to... I guess I could use these. This is not very efficient. As a note, this is just me throwing random currency that I happen to have at the item. I would not suggest using pristine fossils to roll these. Because you get the flask life recovery rate, which is kind of way too often. Alright, I've got an Aberrant to try to encourage some chaos mods here. Did it decide to just die on you, Snow? Anything else that I could do? I could do Frigid Fossils, because I could use it if it had cold res. Again, this is not me being efficient in my crafting. This is me not wanting to message more people for essences, so I'm blowing up money in the interim. Do not advise doing this. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. Okay, I mean, tier 2 and 90 life with an open suffix. So 90 life, 70 res, chaos damage. It is about 3x. Actually, that's tier 3. With tier 2, it's like 3.4. So I think I call it good because I got something that I wanted. I gambled the rest of my essences away and did not get anything else good. But I got something that's probably sellable. And then to check this one again, this is tier 1 chaos damage with high tier chaos res and flash effect duration. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a message that you really need to do this immediately. So all the ones for 8x are tier 2 chaos res. The first, or chaos damage, the first tier 1 chaos damage is a better belt with tier 1 life and tier 1 res, tier 1 chaos res for 11. I think I'm going to lower this to 7.9 so it shows up slightly ahead of other people. And just call it good. That's a secret. But no, all jokes aside, it's just a bunch of Call of the Brotherhoods that I'm probably going to corrupt at some point. I just wanted to have them because the price on these tends to go way up. I bought all of them for 10 chaos apiece. Call of the Brotherhood is now... See if it's gone up yet. Nope, it's still about 10 chaos apiece. But just in case I ever wanted Corrupted Call of the Brotherhoods, usually they go up to 2 or 3 times their early league value. Oftentimes they go up to as much as an Exalt apiece uncorrupted, or 2 Exalt apiece uncorrupted. And it's just easier to buy them early league, usually. Alright, I've got this. What do I do with it? I can use remove attack to remove the wed. I can do lightning to cold, get the cold res I want. What happens if I just wear it as is? How bad do my resists look? My cold res looks abysmal. Unfixably abysmal. Okay. Although I could do like fire to cold here and fix it, lightning to cold here and fix it, either way, really. So that's good to know. Although it's a little unfortunate, because there's better mods that I could have on this. There's also the fact that the prefixes are either flask charge when you deal a crit, which I'm probably going to go with, or life. The problem with life here is the odds are not in my favor. Because there's life flask recovery rate, which is a weighting of 1,000. And then there's increased life, which is a weighting of 1,000. So it is a straight 50-50 as to whether or not I get the good mod or the bad mod. And I have an idea. So I'm going to do that idea. That idea is going to be, oh nice, got that. Pack size, uniques, drop corrupted items, Gloom Shrine. Oh, let's see how much I lag from Gloom Shrine. Sure. This on for now, this here. I have atolls. I'm gonna juice some atolls and run them to try to get some harvest crafts. %'s fine, 81%. 75, yeah, that's probably okay, but I'm gonna 88, that's better, and do metamorph. Legion's gonna deform, so it's not great. Good luck. Hopefully you hit a good additional prefix. Breach isn't great, but Breach is cheap. I also have these. I'll do Harbinger. Could also do Cartography. Need to probably refill on Cartography. Sadly, I don't have any Zona missions. Zona missions would be the best here. It's fixable. I guess I'll just do all the missions. How many more do I need? View Temple 6, so 2 runs. I should be doing Alva in a different area, but it's fine. Now here's the thing. If there's something good, it'll be right near the start.
Low on mana.
There is no harvest here. There is nothing good in this map.
All murders are equal.
I'm still going to do it, though.
Just in time. Just in time.
This is the nice thing about Atoll, and why Atoll is
Just in time.
broken map. Because you can just put all the stuff right at the start.
Ah, there you are. Ready to revisit the past. It's time.
I bet they just all explode, yep. Good old Gloom Shrine doing work. Oh, they did explode there.
Good job, Exile. Ah,
Treasury, upgrade.
let's go.
Gets to stand by himself. Now I'm just back to my regular Explodey instead of Gloom Shrine, but that's fine. I think all the rooms are already connected, aren't they? Yep.
Good job, Exile. Just in time. Ah, there you are. Let's go.
Pretty decent upgrade so far. Hey, how's it going? I made myself a new belt. It's pretty good, not quite perfect. And now I'm looking for a harvest craft to potentially finish it. or to gamble on finishing it. And if I don't get what I want, I'm probably going to sell it and buy more essences and hate my life because I'm buying more essences. The main reason I stopped for now is buying essences is annoying. Nice, nice. Coming home with dinner is always good.
Job.
And let's see how juicy this ritual is. Since I've been talking about how you can juice your maps using ritual, if you get a juicy ritual. I am this fast because of the poison sextant. I poison myself constantly and I gain move speed for every poison on me. So I have 100 poisons on me at the moment, meaning I am zoomy. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Yeah, I need to find someone to buy me essences at this rate. Yeah, okay, standing, that's a bad idea. Sure, I'll pick that up here. Blast those, perfect. Unfortunately, I can't. It is stuck on my map. Sometimes the move speed is a little too fast, because I'm getting essentially 35 move speed from boots, plus flask, plus another 20% from my gem. It's all the zoom. Oh, you're standing near all your friends. And boom. He's on a mission. Welcome to Bladefall Blade Blast. Wait, there's actually a corpse? What? How? So there's an unexplodable corpse that got exploded and killed me. I am very confused. Unless my Herald of Agony just managed to kill something. But that has not happened before. Interesting. Of course it is. What? You're just supposed to move away from it. That was me doing something dumb. I 100% deserved to die there. Except for the confusing part where I should have destroyed every corpse. But it must have been that the Herald of Agony killed something. Yes, and it's very easy to just not stand next to the corpse. No, that was not a flaw in GGG's design at all. Yes, 1, and you still should not stand next to that box.
To catch my breath.
Again, that is nothing wrong with the build. That is nothing wrong with game design. That is 100% play stupid games, win stupid prizes. 100% on the player there. I have a Quicksilver flask with move speed already, Snow. I am all the fast. Yes, this is eye level 85. Yes, it is really easy to do it, because what you do is you buy prime or simple sextants, and when you don't hit it off of your normal sextants, like let's just say I'm rolling for a different zone here. So I just do this. All right, that's not it, but that's a good sextant. That's decent. And that's Fizz. I'm going to roll over that in a second because Fizz is bad. Beyond, that's good. Okay, so what I do in this last spot is I just take, say, simple sextants or prime sextants because I have more of them. Fire damage, no. Soul Gain, no. Cold Damage, no. Corrupted, no. Shrine Effects, no. I just keep clicking this until it says poison. Or until it's something good enough that I don't care about the poison. Normally it doesn't take this many as a note, but even if it does, it's so profitable. Okay, well, in this case, I'm going to keep the strong boxes. But it's so profitable to run the maps that I spent, what, 20-ish chaos at most? And yeah, I'm going to get more than 20 chaos in profit from a single map in this zone. I chose Bladefall Blade Blast instead of Blade Vortex because I wanted something that is better at bossing, and I have played Blade Vortex multiple times before. And I've only played Bladefall Blade Blast once before and never as poison. This helmet I can do something with later. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan, Krendor. I mean, it sounds like a good plan. Oh, right, I forgot to turn Maven on to watch stuff. Put Zana on. Check Zana here. Is there anything I care about in the list? Nope.
Good luck out there.
That she does. And again, because it is Atoll, all the mechanics will be right at the start here, all clustered up. Oh look, I have action speed. Someone say even zoomier. Oh, there's the harvest. Okay. So caster, fire, currency, sack map, fizz, fire, currency, sack map, weapon, enchant, additional crafting options. Yeah, harvest used to always spawn at the start. They fixed that.
Low on mana.
I am too fast. I was trying to dodge the volatile, but not by that much. Defense, lightning, upgrades, harbinger, currency, map enchantment, socket number, cold attack. Stuff explodes. Physical, so that's the same. Currency, socket color, weapon enchant, reforges a rare item in a certain way. I value that a little more over upgrading stuff. So right now what I'm doing is I'm looking for things solely based on what I want here. So there's certain choices that you'd be making for profit, and there's certain choices that you'd be making because you want it. So here, life, that doesn't matter. It's the same number. Then socket number versus cold. Cold is going to be more profitable than socket number. Speed. Speed is very profitable, but very rare. Modify a scarab. I tend to like them. Upgrade offering. I tend to like them. Implicit modifier I need. It isn't super profitable, but it sells for a little bit. But here, this one, synthesized implicit to an item. This is very expensive. So I'd always pick this one, even if the rest of the outcomes were worse, going for profit. But on all the others, I wasn't really looking at it as this is the most profitable. I was looking at it as, given what I am crafting or plan to craft, what can I use? And a lot of my decision making is going to be based on what can I use, because I don't really need to care about what the most profitable option is. Thunderfist, Prophet Crowns, Dune map, not Doom. And now I go look at the actual results. So enchant a weapon with accuracy per quality or weapon range per quality. What I do here is I decide, is this worth selling? But I'm going to wait on that, because all these sacrifice a map, you can sell these. People will buy these crafts. The way you sell it is you open a map and they go in. What I do is I just take random white maps. It's why I'm slowly running out of maps. And I just sacrifice a map. And I add all these nice infused things. This is free Xana crafting. It is very much worth doing. Then this is Reforge Fizz, Reforge Fizz, Randomized Fizz. Randomized Fizz can be pretty nice. At some point I will, yeah. Improves quality of a gem. Do I have any gems that are missing quality? This is only worth 10 chaos at most, so I'm probably just going to ignore it if none of my gems need quality. But I feel like my portal gem, yeah. 15 and 20. Reforge is a rare with random modifiers. This kind of stuff, you can use it, especially for something like a cluster jewel. It's okay. Let's just say the Reforge rare. Do I have a cluster jewel? That is. Yeah, so something like, wait, no, I have a better one over here, don't I? Chaos damage. Sword. Here we go. Reforge Fizz. And I'm just looking for 3 notables. This is generally the best way to do it. Usually I don't, because it's very random. Quality adds cast speed, so I portal faster. There aren't a ton of Fizz mods either, so it could be that there's no good outcome here. It could be that I'm not trying to get anything good here. I'm just essentially chaos spamming. I didn't check Fizz mods on Sword and Axe. Yeah, nothing good. That's why usually I just ignore those. It might aggregate to a small amount of profit over time. It's just not worth it to me. The enchant map with has an additional crafting bench thing at random. Sure. This is another one that I don't really min-max because it's not particularly valuable. Certain Reforges, yes. Not Reforge Physical, though. It's things like Reforge Critical that tend to be more valuable. This is Remove Add Cold. This is probably 1 Exalted Orb right here. I'm going to save this because I don't have an imminent use for Remove Add Cold. Now, Reforge Rare with attributes are more common. This is a little bit better. The problem with Reforge and Reforge Rare is they're kind of just worse fossils. And fossils are cheap enough that I would rather just use a fossil and I'd get the blocking benefits along with the encouragement. So I could use Reforge Rare on this, and there's going to be a ton of attack mods. And there we go. I got Calamitous, Smite the Weak, Wound Aggravation. Is this good? Well, probably not at all. Oh. Yeah, Reforge, what, physical or fire? I just find it to be way too random to actually be worth doing. Like, even here. Oh, the Reforge 10 random. Oh, that's... Oh, the Reforge 10 prioritize... Yeah, it's just way too random because the notables at 68 are kind of fine, but that's only prefixes. Usually what you get if you use that is you get really bad suffixes. So like a large cluster jewel, and let's just do the sword attacks. Sorry, I was misunderstanding. So the good notables that you want are really just blood scent. So you want item level 75 sword and axe attacks. And I don't think this is worth anything. This is item level 82, so we could gamble on that. But you want it with good suffixes as well. And all the suffixes start at level 1 and then hit a breakpoint at it looks like 68. So you're very likely to get bad suffixes and have to go from there. And to try to hit, say, Blood Scent at a 54 weighting, I mean, I could, and who knows, maybe I'll get it right here. I just don't consider it time efficient when I could instead use fossils that block out random modifiers as well. And it got absolutely nothing there. Yeah, let's see if there's any reforges that are actually relatively useful. Yeah, that is my experience doing that craft. It's why I ignore it. Randomize the numeric values of physical modifiers. So here's an example of randomizing numeric values properly. You don't have to divine this to get the 11 to 13%. You can just use randomize phys numeric. Or, do I have anything where I actually need to use it right now? I don't think I do. I think I already did all the phys divines. I guess I could do it here even though it's not a big deal. I'm 1 off and 2 off on the mod I'm going to remove. Yeah, that's probably not worth it. Yeah, silence sucks. Reforge a rare, being more likely to receive the same modifier types, that doesn't really matter. Non-green to green, I tend to use these on triad grips. There's a lot of ways to use them. It's worth saving. Elemental damage per quality and weapon range. I'm going to be honest, I haven't been saving the weapon range ones. They could be worth saying, or they could be absolutely worthless. I would save elemental damage. Then Reforge Rare keeping prefixes, Reforge Rare keeping suffixes. These are big money. They don't necessarily sell for a ton. They're very useful. Very, very useful. Do I have an example of something? Yes. So Reforge keeping prefixes, you can use on a jewel like this, and you can kind of RNG your way into something good. This is probably not a fully efficient use of it. I'm going to use it once for purposes of demonstration. But Touch of Cruelty and Wicked Paul, I'm going to assume are fairly in demand. And the idea here is to get a suffix that is a notable. Using it on cluster jewels is one way to do that. Do I have any other projects? I used to have a bunch. Yeah, another way would be something like this item. If I fill the prefix slot. Oh, here we go. This is, again, not really worth doing it on. This is more of my personal curiosity, but I have been trying to roll those into something good, so that is what I'm going to do. Before I do, though, I have to change one thing. When you reforge keeping affixes, this is very important to remember. It respects mods, and it respects crafted mods. It does not respect empty affix slots. So if this had just been an empty prefix, it could fill that with a random junk modifier. But now that I've filled it, if I do reforge keeping prefixes here, I got cold res. Not what I wanted specifically, but we can go again. That might be what I wanted. Now I have a tier 1 resist. And this is just chaos spam but keeping stuff. These I'm going to save because I have a plan for those. Reforge rare but keep suffix. So I need those. That's about all for there. Over here, there's synthesize. I'm just saving this. Oh, there's something hitting me. Please go away. Yep. I'm just going to save that. Change an offering into a tribute. These are the special labs. Always good to do. Offerings are pretty cheap. These will all be either more useful than or sell for more than. So implicit on a Bistjewel or Timeless, implicit on a cluster. I know I need implicits on my clusters. Avoid being ignited. Can I do avoid being ignited? I'm trying to keep track. So this is frenzy charge duration. This is avoid being ignited. So yes, I can do avoid being ignited here. So I have 2 avoid being ignited. Now I need avoid being shocked and frozen. So new implicit, reduced reflected, doesn't matter. Reduced effective chill doesn't matter in this case. So just put this back on for now. I'm trying to do that to get to elemental avoidance without using crystal skin. So reforge speed, this one can be pretty good. Augment cold, also good, which means I have to either get rid of or use something. Reforge life I'm not really a fan of. You know, maybe if you have a random helmet or a random whatever, sometimes you can throw it at it, but most of the time it's just going to be random garbage. And I much prefer, again, using fossils, because fossils are way more targeted than just chaos spamming your item and hoping for something good. So I need to save the Augment Cold. This is, again, worth probably an Exalt or more. And I need to see if I have any bases to use the speed on. I don't think I do. That's probably just going to go to waste here.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Alright, the randomized critical that I was holding on to. I don't really need that anymore. I was using it to roll this, but I'm at 95%, and it's probably going to get worse rather than better. I don't think there's any other critical tag modifiers I care about. This will get worse rather than better. So, would it be better to sell it? Probably. It's not really worth the time to me to sell it. The non-green to green probably going to have the same fate eventually. And so I saved that. That's those. I don't think there was any others here. Hopefully that has helped explain my thought process with some of the crafts and how you should go about it. But realistically, the answer is, what crafts do you save? If it says add or remove, you probably save it. If it says reforge, you probably either use it or ignore it. If it's one of the crafts that aren't one of those things, I guess remove non-add you also save, always. It's one of those things that aren't one of those things, like the reforge keeping rather than just reforge. You look up the price in TFT. Yeah.
Still sane.
And unfortunately, it's hard to make blanket statements like that because there's so many niche uses where you might want to save it for personal use. If you have a use for it, save it. I'm going to be honest, I had to do a double take there to remember what silence actually was. Because if you are immune to curses, you are immune to silence, because silence is a curse. Not too bad at all. It's a good thing it's item level dependent. Low-level crafts can be just as valuable if you know what you're doing with them as high-level crafts. Also, to craft on the highest item level items, you need to be in tier 9 maps. I'm going to assume that most people at this point in the league are at least in tier 9 maps.
Do not leave me unsatisfied. Be healed and fight on! That was worth the wait.
I don't really use my reforges. I just left them rot. I level 86 boots for reforge speed is fine. That's usually what I do. That is not how I hit those boots I was playing with earlier, though. Now, reforge keeping prefixes, reforge keeping suffixes, that's different. Reforge crit I use on cobalt jewels, but they're kind of cheap, so I kind of don't care anymore.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
And a lot of the other reforges, even if there's some value to them, I've stopped using them because it takes too long and is way too inconsistent as opposed to just using fossils. So I found the Maven speech stuff interesting at the start, but it's repeated for me so many times that I've just started tuning it out. I don't even know what she said there. It's one of those things where it's cool at the start, but once the lines start repeating, it just gets tedious. 5-link, Walnut Toll is probably worth something. Fossils are always good.
Every moment we spend talking.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. It's just a bit of a shame.
Insane.
So is there a harvest here? I kind of hope there isn't harvest here, just because I filled up. Okay, there isn't harvest. So we go do Hydra. That depends on the item.
One of my captives wore many faces, yet kept her true face hidden. Now, she cannot escape her true face.
For example, a cheap explodey chest that is well rolled, I would expect to pay 10 exalts. Whereas a cheap explodey chest that is not well rolled, I would expect to pay 3 or 4 exalts. On the other hand, a cheap weapon base that needs crafting and stuff, I might expect to pay 20 chaos.
Low on mana.
As long as harvest exists, there's never an excuse for I have no money.
Catch my breath.
I did one harvest earlier, and even if I just saved the ad removes, even if I threw out things like the tier 4 craft, which is RNG, or I just didn't save the Reforged keeping prefixes, Reforged keeping suffixes, things that definitely do have value and should be saved, even ignoring all that. Just the ad removes and the augment, probably 2.5x. That's one map. How fast can you do maps that are tier 9? After setting up your atlas to do your best to sustain them, and then buying the rest in bulk. I am on a shadow, assassin specifically. Yeah. And the fact that harvest is absurd profit is the number one reason why, at the moment, there's kind of no excuse for being broke. Oh no, Yarmore. That is a lot. Would you like some food with your pills there? That is quite a lot. Hopefully you are down to a few less in the near future. It's level 17s. You get more harvest in your maps by running maps in either Haywark Hamlet or Lex Proxima, and taking the Watchstone or Atlas passives. I don't think there is a Watchstone passive that causes harvest chance, actually. Just Atlas passives. Yeah, you maximize harvest chance. Now, I misused my flasks a little there, but it's fine.
That stretches the sanity of the mind.
And from there, it's just a matter of running more maps. This goes back in here. I have absolutely no idea because I haven't checked the prices. If I had to guess, though, probably. So I can't think of a league where it has been unprofitable to run Delirium, or to run Simulacrums, assuming that you can do them without dying 5 or 6 times, of course. All right, I'm going to put these here. I don't want to run more stuff and do more harvest right now. And that is just because I don't want to have to go through some of my crafts. Do that shortly. I've got some Reforge keeping suffixes. I plan to use those in a craft later. What else have I done, or haven't I done, in terms of build upgrades? I now was kind of hoping to hit a craft I needed from his belt, but it's not a super big deal. There are not Harvest Scarabs, no. If there were Harvest Scarabs, they would probably be 3 exalts apiece, though. God, that would be stupid. I think I just craft this later. Unless you guys want to watch me buying crafts from TFT, which is mostly just going to be me sitting here spamming. Yes, I hit this earlier off of an essence. The prefixes aren't perfect. If I really wanted, I could fix the prefixes so that I have T1 life. I'm greedy. I'm not quite that greedy. I could also sell the belt because it has the 42% wed, which makes it quite valuable. I kind of don't want to reroll until T1 suffixes, so I'm doing the thing that is a mistake. If you rolled this belt and you are the average player with the average amount of wealth, I would very much suggest finishing it and selling it with the wed attached, because it is worth a significant amount of money because of that mod. I'm not going to do that, because even if it sells, it's not going to make a noticeable impact in my wealth, and I'd rather just have the item and wear the item. Now, if your build is finished, you don't need upgrades, i.e., if I got 0 upgrades from my current gear, my build would be fine, 100%. Can do everything in the game A-okay. If you're at that stage, it's totally fine to give up lucrative profit for something that you personally need. But if you're at the I'm still gearing up, my gear isn't perfect, or my gear needs work stage, when you get something big that other people will value and use, don't blow it up to get something you need. Yeah. I have a couple unpriced public items, but they definitely would sell if someone makes me a good offer. The only problem is, so far, people have just lowballed, and I'm just going to keep crafting them until they're finished and ignore all the lowballs. But anything in my public tabs is in fact for sale for a fair price. As a note, I was offered 10 Chaos Orbs for this. That is not a fair price. I was offered 1 Exalt for this. That is also not a fair price. This, I'm gonna guess, is 20 to 30. And this is unknown, but I'm probably not going to take under 10. Especially not now that it has tier 1 fire res. That's the nice thing about harvest crafting. I can just keep making it better and better over time. And I'll put a price on them when they're done. Or when I get tired of crafting them. Oh, see, that there's no excuse for, because that they're all worth a fixed amount. So what crafts I'm looking for on my build and what crafts you're looking for on your build are 2 very different things. If you are on a Marauder, I'm guessing you're a Chieftain, and you are converting your physical damage over to fire damage. I am dealing poison damage. So the hits from my Bladefall Blade Blast are not dealing the damage. It is the poison the hit inflicts that deals the damage. So what I'm looking for is things like chaos damage over time multiplier. That would not do anything for you. Something that would work for you is +1 to level of all physical spell skill gems. Yeah, same skill, very different build. do not try to copy most of my gear. There are a few things that will apply to both of us. So the +1 to level of all physical spell skill gems. Blade Blast is a physical spell. You can see the spell tag and the physical tag up top there. So the gem goes from level 23 to 24 because of my weapon. That will scale both of our damage because the higher the level of a spell, the higher the base damage it has. So right now it says it deals 408 to 611. If I take this off, now it's 371 to 557. The 1 gem level increased the base damage. So that's something that'll work for both of us. Now, something else that would work for both of us is this line of text. Life gained for each enemy hit by your spells. We're both hitting things with spells, and that recovers your life. You take damage, you hit things, your life goes up. I can demonstrate this really quickly in Blood Aqueduct for you. Stuff like that, we will share. Life, we will share. We both need life on our builds. Resists. We need resists. If you're not resist capped, you're going to die. That sort of stuff is universal between them, but a lot of the mods that I'm using and going after will not work for your build. Well, let's let some stuff hit me. So yeah, I've lost some life, and I hit something, and from those hits, because they're all spell hits, my life jumped up there. That's the life gain for enemies hit by your spells. And because Bladefall Blast hits so many times, it is well worth using. Because each of those blades landing, let's say there's an enemy standing there, all of those explosions can hit that enemy. And all of those explosions will give me the life. That does not make sense because there's no way to turn certain damage types into fire. You're still going to need resists of the other elements there. For example, there's no way to take chaos damage as fire. And it's very difficult to take cold and lightning as fire. Now, physical as fire is pretty easy. And your fire resist will definitely help a lot there. It's something similar to what I'm doing with my physical damage from hits is taken as chaos, or my physical damage from hits is taken as cold. 1 second. Okay, I have no idea what that is. Congrats, Yarmor. So just because you're taking some of the other elements as fire does not mean you should neglect the other resistances. My case is a little bit special here. Right now it says that I have 9% chaos res. I am in fact going to have more chaos res when mapping than I will standing in hideout. And I've hit some stuff. It's at 54. It's at 85. And it's at 105. The reason for this is I am using a jewel that every time I poison myself, I gain chaos resist. So I am running around maps with capped chaos res. And yeah, if you're taking physical damage as fire, that's very good. That's a very strong source of mitigation. You still need to cap all your other resistances, one way or another. And just to look at Atlas passives quickly. So I haven't done very much in Lex Proxima. I've been a big slacker. I tossed this on here. Haven't really used it at all. 2% chance to contain the Sacred Grove. This is why I haven't done it really. Because over here, you have chance to get an additional harvest crafting option. This is contain the Sacred Grove. Crafting option, crafting option. It's base 5%, so this is 10%. And then this all makes your crafts better. especially Nature's Favor. Here, you get 2%, 4%, 6%, so 11% total, but you don't get to make your crafts that much better. The one that's especially good is Nature's Favor. Plants harvested in areas give a rarest of 2 chosen crafting options. And I'm making it even better with these Watchstones of chance to give an additional crafting option. Hey, how's it going? And Wise Oak is an amazing elemental defense, as long as your resistances are all balanced. And so yeah, that's just something that I'm doing. In terms of crafting, what else do I specifically need? I wonder if there's a helmet base that I could buy. I could make myself a better helmet. And there's one specific base that I want to try. But I need Blade Blast AoE with that base. And it is one of the new bases. There are none online. It is specifically the Penitent Mask, which says that you are crushed. Crush reduces your additional physical damage reduction, but if I take enough of my physical damage as elemental damage or chaos damage, like with a 20+% here, like with the 15% here, it might not matter. The only problem is, not many people are enchanting. Yes, I am min-maxing my build. So not many people are enchanting this. And so I've been stuck with this one. Which, there's some things that I could do to finish this one even as is. The Fizz 2 spells is okay. It's not really that good, though. So the thing that I could do is I could add Fire as a prefix, or I could add Physical as a prefix to try to get Physical taken as Fire. Neither of those tags, Physical or Fire, appear on any of the other mods. I mean, if he's doing them, I think he will find a market because a lot of people are trying to scale Fort Effect. I don't know if the market is better than something like a Hubris Circlet, though, which is probably why there aren't that many people doing it. And so the question for me is, on an armor evasion rating base, and the reason I did the armor evasion is there's some things like int rolls that aren't that great. What are the fire tagged mods? Well, the only fire tagged mods are the Hunter prefix of fire damage to spells and the Warlord prefix. If I want the best possible roll on Fizz from hits taken as fire, it is 500 weighting out of 2500. I'm talking about putting physical damage from hits taken as fire on this helmet, and how on average I will need to do 5 crafts for either augment fire or then add remove fire afterwards, which unfortunately I have none of, to do that. The other option is to use the physical tag, which is Fizz from hits taken as fire, adds Fizz damage to spells, and reflects physical damage to melee attackers. The problem with this is that the reflects physical damage is 2,000 total weighting, and then the Fizz to spells is an additional 1,500, and the additional of 1,000 means I'm now rolling 4,500, and I want a 500 weight, or it's 1 in 9. So it's much less economical for me to reroll Fizz than it is for me to do fire stuff. And I can start by removing Caster. Wait, Gloom Charm. Didn't I sell that already? Yeah, I sold that at the starter stream. Something else you can consider is Hardened Scars. Hardened Scars gives you 15% increased life recovery from flasks, and you have Fortified during the effect of any life flask. And so then I have a Hallowed Hybrid Flask of Warning. It should be noted the you have Fortified during the effect of any life flask is a little bit weird. in that it scales with flask duration. So it was 5 seconds there. Then do I have, yeah, flask effect duration. So let's say I put on this belt. And now it's almost 6 seconds. So you can scale the fortify duration by scaling flask effect duration. And now I'm going to put this back up for sale. I'm not super familiar with the exact setup that Ziz has been doing. I've glanced at it before. I can probably answer most of your questions. And so if I do remove caster here, that'll give me an open prefix on my helmet. Then I can do augment fire. And what is augment fire selling for in TFT? 50 chaos to an exalt. Got it. I believe the oils for it, it's something golden, and it cost me about 40 chaos total. A trigger weapon is a weapon with the crafted suffix trigger socketed spell when you use a skill. So I have to take the gems out here. And I'm specifically removing caster, because the only thing with the caster tag here is the fizz dispels. That's a very safe thing to do. Now, I could also remove fizz, because it's the only fizz tag. And I should probably price check to see what is more economical. What am I spending more money on? Remove random physical or remove random caster? So that's just a matter of going to remove RSC in TFT, hitting Control F, caster. Remove caster looks to be a lot of 50 and 60 Cs, some 40 Cs. So pretty low. Most people are not valuing remove caster very much. Remove physical I expect to be significantly more expensive. 50, 60, 60, 1x, 1x, 50, 70, 60, 1x, 1x. So people are valuing remove physical at about an X, assuming you're decently trusted. So remove caster is the correct move here. Like so. Now, I want augment fire. And for that, I'm definitely going to be buying from TFT. This is where there's a little waiting, because I find that if I message people for crafts they posted a while ago, they are already sold. So I'm just going to wait for someone to post a new craft instead of searching back. Because there weren't too many for what I would consider the more reasonable price of about 60 chaos to an exalt. A lot of them were around 1.5, because people still seem to think that the keyword lucky on values actually means something in terms of crafts, and they pay extra for lucky crafts. Personally, I do not understand it. As a note, if you are paying extra for lucky crafts, don't do it. It is not worth your time and money. I believe this was a lucky. This is moving very fast. That is a problem with TFT. I cannot follow it very well. But either way, lucky or regular, it is worth probably about 1 divine orb in value more. So it rolls the value twice. not the craft. So yeah. So let's say that it picks a tier 3 life modifier here. And it picks the value of 18. And then the lucky causes it to roll again, and it picks a value of 20. That's all it really does. And so, I'm going to try to... Yeah, and this is a very conscientious thing for them to do. They're offering to stream me the craft so that I can see. But I'm going to very quickly be able to tell if they did or did not augment fire on it, because it will either have a fire modifier or it will not have a fire modifier. So in this case, I am not worried about actually seeing it being applied. Yep. Being nice and conscientious, which is good. I found generally people are conscientious. Okay. They'll apply, augment new fire. And as you can see, it has applied it. It added the fire damage to spells. And now... lost their name because this is going way too fast for me to see. But I do want to give them a vouch. Vouchers are how you build up trusted status. Trusted status lets you sell your crafts for more. So it is always a good thing to do if you buy a service to vouch for a person afterwards. Like so. It's pretty normal to not know much when you are starting out in the game. The hard part is that you don't know what you don't know when you're starting out. And the best thing you can do is approach it with a learning mindset. So now, because I want to finish this helmet, ideally before I end the stream, I'm going to do remove add and price check remove add fire. Remove add fire looks to be very mixed in prices. So you've got aspect of a crab, life, chaos skill gems. You don't need a PhD. You just need to go into it with the mindset of I am willing to learn and I'm willing to change how I play the game as a result of what I have learned. see. So now I just look for remove add fire of a decent item level and message someone for it. And remember, the odds are roughly 1 in 5 of me hitting what I want. I've hit something I didn't want once so far, which was an 80% chance to happen. I feel like soon TFT is going to have to subdivide their channels further, because sometimes, like in the AUG channel, I could not keep up with who was doing what craft. There were so many people selling crafts. And how much time and learning you have to put into your build, I would say, is inversely proportional to the time put into the explanations in the guide and who the guide is for. Example, I'm going to put a lot more time and effort into the explanations of a guide that I aim at new players, as opposed to a guide I aim at the Path of Exile endgame, i.e. players that are probably already somewhat comfortable with their build and know what they are doing. It's part of why I don't generally make guides for new players, because it takes a huge amount of time and effort, and I just don't have that time to do that a lot of the time. I usually only have time to do stuff like that towards the end of a league. I mean, that's kind of a problem with just copying a POB, because Don isn't really playing a build that's necessarily aimed at you. Don is playing a build that's aimed at Don. It would be like if you just copied my character. My character is not aimed at you, my character is aimed at me. I can explain the differences, but there's some things that I am doing on it that I would tell people flat out, don't do this. A good example of this is this weapon. Don't make this weapon. This weapon cost me over 30x, and I got lucky. But a corrupted cold iron point or a corrupted obliteration is like 80% of the power of this weapon and 10 chaos orbs. And that's 50C. Yep, so he's going to apply the craft here, then I'll pay him the 50 chaos. It should be noted that what I tend to do personally is if someone is a highly trusted status, I will honestly just pay with the craft. Because if you get to a highly trusted status, then you're not going to scam someone. Because if you scam someone and you take, let's say this helmet that's worth probably 20 exalts, you lose literal mirrors. And so no one is going to scam for my item unless maybe it's a mirror tier item. If it's a mirror tier item, maybe someone will do it, but I haven't experienced that personally, and I've handed over a lot of very expensive items. Because in the end, if you scam someone in TFT, you lose. You lose far more money than you make. Because you can just sell crafts and make mirrors. And yeah, a lot of the Bladefall Blade Blast builds do neglect defenses. Mine is very much defense focused. It is very, very tanky. In terms of, is it cheaper than Fire Bladefall Blade Blast? I don't know. Hard to tell. Probably 50-50. We're probably both about the same, to be honest. And what trick did you pick up, Zone? Also, congratulations, Lotador. That sounds like very good money. So, remove add fire. Yeah, my experience has been that most people in TFT are conscientious. Be a little careful, I would say, if someone doesn't have any trusted status, but the last 2 people I traded didn't have any trusted status at all. And most people who don't have trusted status are perfectly trustworthy. Anyone who does have a trusted status, as I said, I've had 0 problems with people who have trusted status, and they have a lot more to lose than gain by scamming me. Hey, I am good today. Yeah, Acro plus Phase Acro with Wind Dancer is a very nice combo, especially if you then add Fizz Taken as Ellie for things that do get through, and Max Res for things that do get through. And I seem to have lost my place in the Discord with all of the spam. Alright, someone's selling remove add fire for 70C. Take that. And welcome back, Snow. And thank you for checking in, Lotador. This is someone who is a highly trusted status. And there we go. Didn't hit what I wanted still. Basically just got a Divine Orb out of that. But that is fine. And not outside the norm. Up till now, I've had roughly a 50% chance of hitting what I wanted. So, back to the drawing board. This is always the very expensive and potentially scary part of harvest crafting, where I am gambling. This is straight up gambling. It's not a guaranteed outcome. And I'm gambling at most of an exalt per try. But that's how you take an item from pretty good to really good. This is the part that I would normally advise people not to do. Because normally it is not worth it. Again, big disclaimer, I'm more than happy to share information on how to do it, but generally, I don't advise copying this until you have a decent amount of money. Also, I don't know why I just typed that to you, Yarmor. It's habit when I see a message. Well, hopefully you've had a good time with your family at least. I'm sorry if there have been a ton of interruptions. Grab some chaos here, message someone else about a remove add fire. You know what? let's just do it this way. I can grab Exalts off the stack later. That would do it. That's the good thing about streams like this. The recorded content will be there for anyone who wants to rewatch. So far, it's interesting. I haven't hit Fizz taken as fire once on the rerolls. Which isn't that unusual. It's a 3 and 5 to hit Fizz or fire to spells, and it is a 2 and 5 to hit Fizz taken as. Those are the only outcomes. It does stick around forever, unless I specifically chose for it not to, but with streams like this that have information, I want them to stick around for as long as possible. And now I'm again just watching the TFT Discord for the remove ad channel and waiting to see the magic word of fire flash past my eyes at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I guess my question to everyone watching is, do you find me crafting in this way using TFT to be interesting because you get to see high-end crafting that I wouldn't necessarily normally be showing in a video? Or do you find it boring because I'm kind of just sitting here staring at my inventory for a while? Because it is going to be a lot of just me sitting here staring at my inventory. All right. Well, good to know. And for anyone who watches this later in VOD or pre-recorded form, let me know your thoughts as well. I appreciate that, Yarmar. So, which good items can be elevated with Harvest? For the most part, you don't want to elevate using Harvest. You want to elevate and then Awakener's Orb an elevated item together. So, for example, my chest piece, Elevated Explodey, is insane. Not only does it give you global increased area of effect, which scales your Explodey. 1 second. Someone's selling something and I have to catch them. Or someone else does. Yeah, so not only does it give you AoE that scales your Explodey, but it goes from 3 to 5%, which is massive when enemies tend to have very large HP pools. That's something that was elevated. Now, I did not make this chest. I bought it. I was too slow. Yeah, I didn't make it. I bought it. Specifically, I bought it after someone thought they bricked it. I'm not calling it quite yet. Oh, I didn't know you were still here, Krendor. I don't know, there's this weird thing that when people message me in game, my first instinct is to reply to them in game. But yeah, so it had the spell crit, and it had the Explodey elevated. It is absolutely worth elevating Explodey. What else you elevate would kind of depend on what you want out of your build. Defensively, elevating, say, Fizz from hits taken as Chaos, or maybe the Power Charge on crit, that could be very worth it. Oh, Saved by Harvest. All right, I will address that after this because I do think talking about elevated mods is still important. And I have nothing else to do but watch paint dry in a Discord. And yeah, it would be nice if Discord could just let me know. As for if Harvest was better, you wouldn't need a Discord. That would be really bad zone. We don't want that. We don't want Harvest to exist at all. But it's better if Harvest is clunky, because it ruins the game less than if it's not clunky. So the second elevated mod is whatever from the list. You take the Awakener's Orb and you slam it together. And they did that. They did this with one elevated Explodey and then the spell crit. They hit tier 2 Fizz from hits taken as Chaos. They hit a random armor roll as a prefix. They hit Strength and they hit Stun Block Recovery. And they thought, oh, there's no Harvest Craft that removes Stun Block Recovery or Strength. I've bricked this item. It's bad. I'm going to sell it for 12 Exalts. I came in and I said, wait a minute. There's plenty of things that I can use to fix this. I can absolutely fix this immediately. So I did remove defense, and I crafted the life. Now it is a usable chest that I can wear. From there, I did remove add chaos until I hit tier 1, and it was a 50-50 shot. I believe they're equally weighted. I happened to hit it in 1. Then I have the 2 junk suffixes that were unremovable. But they're not actually unremovable, because there's remove non-critical, add new critical. The only critical modifiers are suffixes. So power charge on crit, attack crit, and spell crit. The exact things that I have here. I used remove non-crit, add crit twice. Killed off the bad suffixes, and there was no risk to my prefixes, because the only critical modifiers on the item are suffixes. It had to add a suffix, so it had to remove a suffix. And No, this is my chess piece, Grendor. You have your own. Yeah, it may be that in SSF, Harvest is pretty balanced. In Trade League, it is absolutely not balanced, because it lets me print items like this, or like this. Things that should not exist without massive investments. Those remove ads, they were cheap. The reroll chaos cost more than the remove ads. The remove ad chaos cost more than the remove non-ads, I should say. And so I made a chest piece with insane levels of power. This item, in any other league, would be mirror-worthy. Even with the crafted life, it would be absolutely absurd to hit these things. And I made it in like 20 minutes for a couple exalts. That should not exist. Because if it continues to exist, the game's going to get buffed. And that is not a good thing for most people. For me, it will not affect me. Because I can keep making these items, and I will be able to keep up no matter what. Anyone who can't afford to make items like this will fall behind the power curve. So, harvest crafting existing is overall a bad thing. Now, if it was hard, if it was like making this item, I could see harvest crafting being fine, because this was difficult to make, it was expensive, it required a lot of knowledge, and most people won't be able to do that. Hey, I'm glad you are enjoying the build. And yes, it is quite fun. Oh no, you need to try it. My bad, I read that too quickly. Good luck trying it, and let me know how it is. I've enjoyed it a lot, and hopefully you enjoyed it as well. But yes, I have been enjoying the League. So how I made this was I bought something with the chaos.multi. Ideally, I'd want the T1 Fizz as extra chaos as well. I couldn't find something with the T1 Fizz as extra chaos, so I instead went with a Fizz spell skill gems. I did cannot roll attack, which is a suffix, add remove physical, until I got the T1 Fizz as extra chaos, which takes between, let's just say, 6 and 20 exalts. I got pretty lucky, I paid around 8. Then I did prefixes cannot be changed, and I removed a junk life suffix for the spell crit. And did add remove caster until, as it turns out, T2 spell crit. I then removed chaos, which was the other mod on the suffix, and hunter slammed it. Then changed the prefixes cannot be changed to cannot roll attack mods, and did add remove influence until I got Malevolence Aura effect. That is a very long and complex process. Again, I spent about 30 exalts doing that, and I got relatively lucky. I could have easily spent 40 or 50. This item existing with Harvest is fine, because it's expensive, and it's hard to do, it takes a lot of knowledge, it takes a lot of time. This item is not okay with existing, because this takes almost no time, and once you learn the method, almost no knowledge. And you could just print these. I probably should be printing these. I'd be even more disgustingly rich than I am if I printed these. And this is why Harvest is a mistake. And that is my rant about Harvest. I mean, I just talked about the method. I just outlined everything I did. I don't know how much this is worth. I would guess quite a lot. It could be made better by remove attack. I just haven't done that yet. I want Harvest to change, personally. What I want Harvest to change into is I want Harvest to become a matter of currency orbs that drop. Yes, Aura Stacker is dead tab. Formerly known as the Aura Stacker Investment Fund tab, for the Aura Stacker that I'm never going to play. It's just a meme. Don't read too much into that one. Also, for anyone wondering, Aura Stacker isn't in fact dead, it's just very expensive. So, that's the meme. Not another craft here. And after this, if it doesn't roll Fizz taken as fire, I'm just going to double check something, which is the tags, to make sure that I did not make a mistake and waste a bunch of my money when the Fizz taken as fire isn't fire tagged. It should be, but certain things are not properly tagged anymore as a result of people doing things to abuse harvest crafting exactly like I'm doing now. So as a note, they were probably supposed to confirm that. It's generally bad practice if you're selling crafts to not confirm, but no harm was done, and I'm just going to remind them. Most people who don't confirm crafts are just new and just don't know. Not a big deal, but always good to remind someone, because they could make an expensive mistake later by not confirming. So, Warlord prefix. Physical elemental fire. So it is entirely possible for it to put it on. It just hasn't been putting it on. I'm not sure exactly what order of magnitude of unlucky I've gotten so far, but I've gotten fairly unlucky that I haven't hit it at least once with a 2 in 5 chance. Now it is time to buy more Chaos Orbs. Because of course it is. Do I have Exalts? What do I want? Chaos. Yep, basically never lucky. Until I am. Probably not Credor. Is there a specific map you are looking for, or are you just looking for bulk maps in Haywark or something? $100, $200, $300, $50. Wait, no. $100, $200, $300, $50, $60. I was miscounting there. Okay, Primordial Blocks and Mausoleum. Unfortunately, I need to keep a lot of these because I need to use them for Maven stuff. So Lyra Arthane, have I done all the Maven stuff here? No, I haven't. Alright. Mausoleum. Mausoleum I can sell you. Because I tend to use favorited maps, I'm just slowly running out of maps. It's a slight problem. Thank you. The ever-valued Chaos Orbs. And now back to looking for Remove Add Fire to continue my bad luck streak or end it. Bramble Valley. I only have one of those, unfortunately, and let me see if I've... Whoops. Oh, God. Alright, I have completed Valda's Rest. I keep misclicking, so I can sell you the Bramble Valley. Am going to be potentially buying a craft from someone here, though, so if I leave the party, don't worry too much. Alright. Let's see if this is what, lucky number 6, I think? I think it's lucky number 6. Yeah. And we'll see if it is still tier 3 fire to spells after. It, I believe, is. Okay, and now I will leave the party and re-invite you, Crendor. Back to buying more remove ad fire, because let's see, Forbidden Woods. Oh wait, no, I'm pretty sure I've already done Bramble Valley. Oh. Yeah, I keep forgetting that because you keep messaging me in game. I'm going for physical damage from hits taken as fire damage, which is the best defensive option that I can add here. Should be nice and spicy. I'm about 6 crafts in with an average of, let's just say, 60-ish chaos spent per craft. So it's costing a couple exalts here. But it will be worth it. And then I'm going to call the helmet finished and probably never touch it again. What's going to be really disappointing is when I get to the Fizz's extra fire and it's tier 2 instead of tier 1. They really want tier 1. Oh, Crendor, are you coming for the map? I'm probably going to be leaving the party a lot. Thank you. The 2 ways to approach this were remove add fire or remove add physical. Unfortunately, the remove add physical was less likely to hit and more expensive. So if a Redeemer chest already has Reflect Fizz and Fizz taken as lightning. So by that you mean a Crusader chest. Crusader rolls Explodey, Redeemer does not roll Explodey. But assuming that you meant Crusader there, yes. As long as it does not have an open suffix. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the additional physical damage reduction, which is a suffix, also has a Fizz tag. So if there's, say, 1 open suffix on it, craft any old suffix and then hit it with the Fizz Slam, yes. No worries, just double checking. Because I've had people say similar things before, and they've had a double influenced item, and it's been something like Redeemer Crusader, and that can complicate the rules. I don't think Redeemer Crusader specifically conflicts. I do think you can do the exact same thing, but I'd want to double check before giving advice. There's lots of remove add attack popping up. Apparently not many people are using remove add attack. That is the tough part about SSF, Yarmar. Lighty was having a similar problem, I think. I don't know if he was in SSF or not. He was having a lot of trouble getting crafts that he wanted. And hey, how's it going? I've been doing some crafting, trying to finish my helmet here, trying to get Fizz from hits taken as fire. I have not had very good luck with it so far. We are, what, 6, 7? Something like that. In the hole. I don't quite remember now. The crafts have kind of blurred together in my mind. I think this is lucky number 7. I made myself a belt, which I need to finish later. And that's mostly been the stream. That is the one downside of doing a lot of this endgame type min-max crafting. It's pretty time-consuming. Well, a late start isn't too bad. Also, what I really should do is I should try to finish my ring at the same time I'm finishing this helmet. So I'm going to do that. So I'm putting suffixes cannot be changed here because the despair is a caster mod. And if I want to reroll caster, then I have to do suffixes cannot be changed. So now I can do add remove caster or add remove physical and finish 2 items at once. I should have done this way earlier. Poison BV Assassin's good. And that does not sound good, Snow. Is it just that they're old, or is there something that you think is damaged and that's why you can't do it? It also should be noted that a lot of the min-maxing I'm doing here is kind of just for the sake of min-maxing. That I wouldn't necessarily advise most people to do this level of min-maxing. The item was perfectly good for my helmet before I started min-maxing it. It was Fort Effect, Chaos Res, and Fizz Dispels. Ah, that does sound like a pain. Remove Add Life is certainly a very, very popular craft. A lot of them are selling for, it looks like, around 2 exalts. What should I look out for on caster? 1x, 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 50c, 1x, 1x. Alright, so it's about an x. Oh, there we go. Did they crash? I wonder if they crashed. I think they crashed. Crashing going to hideout. Classic thing for this league. I'm more surprised I didn't crash going to their hideout. I'll give him a minute. Okay, now they can see the message. That has happened to me many a time. Move add caster is this. They're a trusted seller, so I have no real concerns, just handing over the payment and the item to get the craft. If you don't want to hand over the payment with the item, I totally understand that. I've just had good experiences, so I'm, well, fairly trusting. Maybe more so than I should be. I'm sure I'm going to get burned for it. Someday. Not quite what I wanted. Yep. So back to the remove ad channel. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. Spark plugs are definitely not supposed to be near oil. Especially not covered in. What I want from the remove ad caster here is life gain on spell hit. It is a little bit unfortunate to roll over the tier 1 spell damage, and if I were self-cast, maybe I'd want to be super greedy and do spell damage plus YOLO for life gain on spell hit. Because if I ogged caster again, I could hit it. The problem is then I'd have no way to remove it. But because I'm poisoned and because spell damage doesn't really scale me, I'd rather not worry about it and still keep the minus 10 mana cost so that my mana costs are more manageable and I don't really have to worry. Because I could, I'm sure, balance around that mana cost. It would just be irritating. Thank you. I'm glad you are enjoying it. I'm going to be doing probably a mix between a guide and a build showcase, where I'm going to showcase my specific gear and then have a guide on some of the things that you should do as you get into the end game. the in-between, if you will. Okay. Oh no, it's not tier 1. I guess I go again then. I think it's only the 4 mods that it can go between, so 25% chance. Oh, no, there's 3 tiers, so there's 5 mods. So it's the exact same gamble that I've been taking on my other item. But I put so much into this that at this point, there's absolutely no way I'm not finishing the item. If anyone's wondering, yes, this is the tedious part of crafting. The fun part is what I did earlier, slamming a bunch of Stygians and making this. That's the fun part of crafting, because you get to see big impacts and you get to see them quickly. This, I'm spending a lot of money for a relatively minimal return. Well, I guess it's a pretty big return. On the helmet, I'm trying to go for physical damage from hits is taken as fire damage. And on the ring, I'm trying to go for tier 1 of life gained for each enemy hit by your spells. So I'm trying to do 2 at once here. So far, I am 0 for 6 on the helmet, and on the tier 1 roll, I'm the 0 for 2 on the ring, I believe. Oh. You know, thank you for the reminder that I am in fact an idiot and was going for the wrong base here. I remember why I needed fire. Well, that explains why I've been rolling the wrong thing for the last hour, because this is why I don't craft on stream a lot. When I craft on stream, I pay attention to the chat instead of paying attention to my items. I should have been doing add remove lightning. I forgot that to do that, I needed to change the lightning res into fire or cold res. And that's why I was waiting on the helmet. So I've just been blowing up money for literally no return. That explains a lot. So thank you for that. Also, this is why you always double check your crafts and don't get distracted talking to people. Because, yes, always double check. Don't waste. Let's see, what did I waste roughly? I wasted about 4 exalts doing that. Yeah, oops. So I had another base that I had been rolling very recently. Where is it here? This base. I thought I was rolling on this base the whole time. This base has Warlord influence and can get T2 fizz from hits taken as fire. And I thought I was rolling on this and not on this. And because I was paying more attention to my chat than to my crafts, I was just la-di-da-di-da. So yeah, oops. It's fixable. Just expensive. I was wondering why it wasn't hitting. All right. So I'm just going to put this on for now. And instead, buy someone's remove ad caster for the ring, because I know the ring is totally fine. I'm going to guess if the first one had oil on it, the second one has oil on it. Oh, that sucks. I have in the past had 2 people who have not confirmed and used the wrong craft. One person ruined an item that was unfortunately kind of irreplaceable, but I hadn't put a lot of money into yet. And the other person ruined an item that I'd put about 25x into, and he spent about 10x of his own money to fix it. So I think it's sold here. Yeah. So I'm just going to move on. Overall, I've had good experiences, especially from highly trusted sellers, because generally highly trusted sellers know what's going on, they confirm, etc. Have a good night. Yep. I think what I need right now is a break. Because, yeah. I've clearly not been paying as much attention to my crafts as I should have been if I used 6 of a wrong craft without double checking and realizing. It also means I'm probably not going to do as many big crafting projects on stream. I will, however, just for history's sake, double check right now on what I should have been doing for the helmet so that I can get that cleared up. It is a strength dex base, and it is Crusader, which means fizz taken as lightning, not fire. Lightning, not fire. And it is fizz from hits taken as lightning, and lightning resistance, and lightning to spells. So it is roughly a 1 in 6 to hit tier 1. Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's still a 1 in 5 because it's not the right item level to add the maximum lightning res. Oh, wait, no, it's slightly more. So it's 1,000 waiting for a fizz taken as, plus 1,500 waiting for the craft, plus 250 divided by 500. So, close enough to 1 in 5. The 250 waiting doesn't skew things that much. Yes, that is a lesson in pay attention to your crafts, pay attention to your crafting projects, and that's what I'm going to call it. Thank you for watching, everyone. Hopefully you've learned something, and hopefully my somewhat expensive lesson in paying attention to crafting that I can afford saves you from an expensive lesson in paying attention to crafting that you cannot afford. Which is part of why I do this content. Thanks again, and have a good night, everyone. And good luck with your slightly oily spark plug, Snow.